If you grew up in the late 2000s or early 2010s, you probably have seen or heard of this show called Ben 10. Well, Ben 10 was one of the most popular shows on Cartoon Network, and it seems like over the years there has been many different variants of Ben 10, which has led to the downfall of the great Ben 10. What's up guys, my name is Midnight, and today's video I'm going to be talking about the downfall of Ben 10. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you guys watch till the end. The first original Ben 10 released on December 27, 2005 on Cartoon Network, but it did not see that much success. The first couple episodes of Ben 10 didn't see that much success. It wasn't until the show gradually started to progress that later episodes started to see way more success and the show became wildly popular. As the Ben 10 show continued, the show became wildly popular. It was now one of the most popular shows on Cartoon Network, and they decided that it was time to release a sequel after they saw how popular the first original Ben 10 came out, and that's when they decided to come out with Ben 10 Alien Force. When Ben 10 Alien Force first came out, people weren't that hyped for it because they weren't really sure what to expect. They were not used to seeing an older Ben 10, an older Gwen, and an older Kevin. And now we don't get to see the aliens we grew up in love. Majority of them we got introduced to new aliens now, and people weren't really sure how they were going to like this show. But as the show continued, people ended up loving this show, and they ended up loving all the new aliens. Cartoon Network and the studio that created Ben 10 saw how popular the original Ben 10 and the Ben 10 sequel were doing, so they decided it was time to take it to live action and release a Ben 10 live action movie that released in 2009. Now I know what you're thinking, turning an animated show into a live action movie never turns out good. Like look at Avatar for example, that went horrible. Look at the Dragon Ball Z movie, that went horrible. And it was no different for the Ben 10 movie. The Ben 10 live action movie did horrible among audiences. It got a low score on Rotten Tomato, and overall people just hated it. In my personal opinion, I didn't think the Ben 10 movie was that bad. Granted, I haven't watched the movie since I was a kid in 2009 when it first released, but when I was watching it when I was a kid, I really enjoyed the movie. I loved seeing Ben in live action. I loved seeing all the aliens in live action, and I just thought it was a really cool concept. Granted, if I do watch the movie now, my opinion might change. I might start to hate it because, I'm a grown man now. My mind has changed. But when I was a kid, I really did enjoy it and I thought it was a fun time. After seeing how bad the Ben 10 movie did, Cartoon Network decided to just stick to animation, and that's when they released the sequel to Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, which some people argue is the best Ben 10 of all time. Ben 10 Ultimate Alien was amazing. It was definitely one of the best Ben 10 shows to ever release. In my personal opinion, I still think the original Ben 10 tops it because of nostalgia factor. That's the first one we ever seen. But Ben 10 Ultimate Alien was phenomenal. The villains were amazing. The new aliens were amazing. This is the strongest we've ever seen Ben. So what could ever go wrong? This was a great overall show, and I feel like this was the perfect conclusion to the Ben 10 story. So I thought. Now it's time to get into the downfall of Ben 10 with the release of Ben 10 Omniverse. Ben 10 Omniverse released in 2012, only 2 years after the finale of Ultimate Alien. And Omniverse really tarnished everything Ultimate Alien stands for and everything the Ben 10 franchise stood for. It tarnished the original Ben 10, it tarnished Ben 10 Alien Force, and it tarnished Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. Everything they were building up in those three shows just got tarnished by one show with the release of Ben 10 Omniverse. Ben 10 Omniverse started off with Ben as a kid again. It just gave us a fresh new storyline with new characters, new aliens, and new everything. And it just really ruined the perfect conclusion that Ultimate Alien had to the Ben 10 storyline. In my opinion, I just think this was a money grab from Cartoon Network. Ben 10 Omniverse had 6 seasons. That is the most seasons in any Ben 10 show ever. And I could only fathom myself to watch 2 seasons of this show because this show just felt completely childish and it felt out of touch of what Ben 10 stands for. And yes, I know what people are going to say, well, Ben 10 is a children's show, it's meant for children. I understand that, but I believe the original Ben 10 trilogy was not this childish. I believe a grown man could sit down and they could watch this Ben 10 and they would actually enjoy it and had amazing characters and amazing storylines that anyone could follow through. But Ben 10 Omniverse, which is very childish, I feel like it was meant for like 5-year-olds or max 8-year-olds. I feel like if you were over the age of 12, you could not watch this Ben 10 at all because it was just way too childish. And this was happening to a lot of shows on Cartoon Network during this time. It felt like they were just taking an original good show that everyone loved and just coco-mellifying it and making it basically meant for children and little kids. They did the same thing with Teen Titans with Teen Titans Go, same thing with Ben 10 with Ultimate Alien to Ben 10 Omniverse. They were just turning every show into a childish version of itself, and so it could appeal more to the little kids, so the little kids could grasp more onto it. And yes, I understand that little kids are the majority of people who watch these shows, but I felt like the other one just had any age group could watch it, and that's why it was so popular, and that's why everyone loves them dearly. So I don't understand why Cartoon Network went this path, but it was definitely the downfall of Ben 10 and the downfall of Cartoon Network. And you would think, after seeing how poorly Ben 10 Omniverse did compared to the original Ben 10 trilogy, that they would stop making these childish versions of these shows and they'll just let Ben 10 rest before they kill it even more than they already have. Well, nope, they didn't stop. In 2016, they released another Ben 10 version, but this time even more kidified. I don't know how they did it, but somehow they did it. They released an even more kidified version of Ben 10. I could only force myself to watch about 5 episodes of this show before I realized how terrible this show was and how it was not worth my time. This show had 4 seasons. I was not sitting down and watching 4 seasons of this show. This show was horrible. For some reason, they made Ben and Gwen like little kids. They looked like they were 4 years old. Every alien looked like a toy. It looked like a kid version of the original aliens. Supposed to be none of them looked cool. None of them looked intimidating. They all looked like kiddish, babyish versions. And the entire storyline just made no sense in those 5 episodes I was watching it. Just like random episodes they were just placing out. It didn't have a storyline. It didn't follow a storyline. It didn't have a villain. It didn't have anything. This Ben 10 show was horrible. It definitely was the worst. It definitely got the worst rating. And hopefully, after seeing how bad this show does, they could stop killing the Ben 10 legacy and please let it rest and create some new original content. We all know how badly cable and TV has fallen over the recent years. It seems like nowadays no one wants to create original new content. Everyone just wants to make remakes of the original shows they've already created. They just want to make remakes, and the remakes just are worse than the original. It will never grasp the magic that the original show used to have. That's why people love the original. I've never watched a remake and say, wow, this is actually a good remake and this might be better than the original. It can never happen because the original is good for a reason. It seems like nowadays TV networks just don't want to make new original content, and that's why the TV networks are just falling off. That because every kid nowadays just gravitate towards doing more towards YouTube, more towards live streaming, just more towards social media, because TV is not producing any interesting good content for them to consume. They're just remaking remakes of original shows, but worse, that nobody wants to see. It's sad to see the fall off of Ben 10 because Ben 10 was one of my favorite shows growing up. I really loved this show. I used to have the Omnitrix when I was a kid. I used to know all of Ben 10's aliens. I used to play all of the Ben 10 video games. I used to dress up like Ben 10 for Halloween. I wanted to be Ben 10 growing up. So it's sad to see how Cartoon Network just really tarnished the legacy of this show and just tarnished everything it stands for by just chasing money instead of chasing the legacy route. And it really hurts me because it was my favorite show growing up. So it's sad to see, but Ben 10 has fallen down the gutter and I don't think it can make a comeback. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on this video, and comment down below what your favorite Ben 10 show of all time was. But other than that, it's been midnight and I'm out. Peace out.